This is a super early draft of Potter's Field. This was back when my writers group, we were meeting in person, and for some reason we were writing notes on actual Post-it notes and giving these notes to each other. So these are the notes from some of the people in my writers group on an early draft of Potter's Field. Potter's Field is the horror comedy screenplay I've been working on for like the past 3 years. It's gone through different iterations. It's had several titles. I've called it Chomp. So if you've heard me talk about Chomp in some previous videos, it's what I'm talking about. So of course I haven't given up on this. I'm still trying to get it out there, even though I'm working on other projects. Because I put a lot of fucking time and effort into Potter's Field. Like I entered some contests. So far, nothing's come of that. Not really surprising though, because Potter's Field is very much a genre script. It's a horror comedy. And I think that most contests, they say that they're looking for fresh voices and this, that, and the other, and that's likely true. But I also think that they're probably looking for more grounded stuff, more kind of like dramatic indie type material. I don't think that they're really looking for genre stuff in these contests, but I could be wrong. My shit probably sucks in their eyes, and that's why I'm not placing, so there's that. But I wrote Potter's Field with the intent of just getting attention, getting representation, maybe getting some sort of deal to write something, some sort of writing assignment to work on something else. Like, to be honest with you, the goal isn't necessarily to sell it, and if that happens, that is fantastic. And universe, if you see that for me or you see that for Potter's Field, hey, I'm 1000% open to it. Let's do it, baby. But I really just wanted to have an example of my style, my voice, what I'm capable of. This very much was a challenge for me because horror is something that I don't write. I enjoy a good horror flick now and again, but it's not something that's not my world. But as I said, I've worked very hard on this script and I want to get it out there. I want to get it in front of people. So I've been querying agents and managers. I've done a video on my feelings about query letters. That has not changed, but it's still one of those methods in which you can get your name out there, get your script out there, at least familiarize people with who you are and what you're doing, what you're trying to do. So for a few weeks now, I've been sending out query letters for Potter's Field. This was something else that I really took my time with. I worked on the log line, which again, like my feelings on log lines, y'all know how I feel about log lines, they suck. But I worked on the log line, tried to workshop it with people. Hey, what do you think? Does this, interest you, intrigue you, what have you? And got some positive feedback. Once I discovered like a key component that I could plug into the log line, then everyone was just like, oh man, this is great, this is great. So once I got my log line to where I wanted, I crafted a nice short query letter based on advice that Saeed Crumpler, Saeed put in an article that he wrote for Final Draft's blog, Final Draft, the screenwriting program. They have a nice blog. I'll link to it if anyone is interested. I'll link to the article actually that Saeed wrote, where he just gives tips on writing query letters because that's how he found his representation, his manager. So following his tips, tight log line, I write my query letter and I started sending this out to managers and agents. Now again, I don't have much faith in query letters, so I was surprised to get a response from one of the managers that I queried. And this is what he said. Hey Jay, hope all is well. Sorry I missed your email. Sounds like a lot of fun, but sadly, not for me. I've got a few too many projects already involving the undead, and they are really hard to find homes for these days. Best of luck with it. Now you're probably sitting there like, Jay, that was a rejection. What's going on here? And yes, that essentially was a rejection. But the thing about it is that it was a response. You see, most of the time when you send out these query letters, you get no kind of response. Like what's the saying? No response is a response. No answer is an answer. And just the fact that this manager replied, it lets me know, number one, that he got my email, he opened it, he read it, and his response was based on him actually taking the time to do that. And it leads me to believe that some of these other managers and agents that I've been reaching out to, they've done the same thing. They've opened the query letter, they've read it, they just haven't taken the 2 minutes to respond. And that's fine, that's fine. But I'm on their radar now. At least that's how I'm looking at it. Right? They see the name, J Fingers. They're not gonna forget that. Even if they don't reply, they see it and they're gonna remember that name. Trust me. Even if they read the log line and they think, well, the script is not for them or whatever, I'm on their radar. So that, say a few months down the road, I query with a different script, maybe this one will be up their alley. Or maybe, you know, I'll just, you know, hit them, they'll see my name enough times, they'll just be like, okay, let me see what this kid has to offer. That's one of my main goals, is to build that familiarity. You know, perhaps they'll come across me on social media or something when I decide to go back to social media. Or maybe my name will come up in conversation or something. I sent my script to a young woman that I know that works in the industry, and she's just like, you know, yeah, you know, I'm excited to read it. You know, I've heard good things about you. I'm just like, heard good things about me? Like, how is that possible? And she told me that people have spoken about me in my writing. I didn't ask who, I didn't, you know, I'm just like, oh, okay. You sure? Yeah, there's only one J Fingers. So, you know, building that familiarity, getting the name out there, at least people will see it. And, you know, it's just one of those things, you know, you see or you hear a name or something, you know, often enough, it's gonna pique your curiosity. And so that's what I'm hoping to achieve, is I'm hoping to pique some curiosities out there. That even if they reject this one or even the next one, maybe at some point they'll say, all right, let me see what you got. Let's go from there. So, really not one of these people to like try to turn a negative into a positive. That's really not my normal like mode of thinking. You know, it's just like a negative is a negative. Like, no, he said no. Like I said, it makes me feel like my efforts aren't in vain. Query letters are still shit, but might be some shit that leads to some good shit. That was not elegant at all. Anyway, let me get off this and let me send some more query letters out. Maybe I'll get some more rejections. Or maybe I'll get a request to read it.
This might be the return of the throne over and Jesus, like Moses and Jesus.